Hello, and welcome to Beyond Common Business Secrets podcast. I'm your host, Tracey Watts Cirino, and we have a fabulous, extraordinary guest here with us today, Joanne Angel. I am so excited that you are here, and I just want to welcome you. You have, from what I've done a little bit of research, not much. You guys know I like to keep this super organic, and it's actually so much more fun when I get to interview people that I only met through an introduction, not that we know each other. So I have done a little research, and your business and what you're doing seems absolutely amazing. So we want to welcome you. Welcome, Joanne.
Thank you so much for having me. I'm very excited to be here, and I'm very similar to you. I love organic conversations as opposed to having a whole list of questions that I know that's going to be asked, because again, I play a big part with spirit. And I always believe that whatever spirit guides me to share is what's meant to be shared for the audience that's meant to hear what needs to be heard.
Oh, I love that. Joanne, can you tell us a little bit about your business?
Sure. Now, how long did we say the show is? This way here, I know exactly how long I need to.
Oh, it's flexible.
Oh, good.
I could never do a hard stop like that because certain conversations end up going deeper. And we've even had conversations that we just broke up into a couple episodes because it just went that way. So whatever you're feeling called, we love and honor that here at Beyond Common Coaching. So come on in.
There you go. So business name is Wholistic Fitness NY, and holistic is spelled with a W. And the reason why it's spelled with a W is to remind everyone, specifically women of midlife, that I work with the whole person. What is the whole person? The whole person is their body, their mind, their emotions, and of course, their spirit. So it's not just about coming to me to fit into your dress or be able to get into a bikini. It's really about discovering who you are on a soul level, because I truly believe that's what's really important. We all know who we are on the surface, which, believe it or not, is not really who we are. When we take a deeper dive and understand who we are on a soul level, and then we become bold enough to show up in that way, life begins to change. So the concept of working with me at Wholistic Fitness NY is combining personal training, Reiki energy work, crystals, aromatherapy, chakra balancing, card readings, astrology, numerology, and that's probably just to name a few of the modalities that I blend together to help women in midlife really take a deeper dive. My biggest passion is to help women get strong and reminding them that weights are their friend. And we're hearing more and more that muscle is medicine.
Yeah.
I'm gonna leave it there for now.
I'm a big advocate for that women or that movement for women. It's good to have muscle. I love this. I love your synergy around the holistic with the W. That just made my soul tingle. And I think is so needed right now because there is no surface answer, right? It is the layers. And each one of your clients is probably so different in which one of the healing modalities they need. And this just comes at such a, I would say, divine, perfect time. Yes. Because so many women that I personally coach and that are part of my training programs, that we do a lot of stuff for business, but I always say, you're not doing it right if your whole life doesn't get better, right? You're not doing it right. So you're leaving part of yourself at home. But so much comes up with the women that I serve in midlife around this body stuff. Yes. So I would love, I'm just so grateful that you're here to help unpack this for women and kind of walk us through what are some things that we can do to get on this journey of that spirit connection for our whole self, right? Because you're right. We've moved past I still would like to look good naked, but I have a certain standard, right? that I've been dealing with since being a teenager. However, I've moved into the fact that I just want to feel strong. I want to honor my power and my muscles, right? So that is huge for women. And I would love for you to just unpack that more for us.
Well, one of my biggest topics right now and many women in midlife are experiencing this, and it's called menopause. And it's such a big topic. And I'm all for the science behind it. There's a lot of science to support what every woman is experiencing, or so they think they're experiencing. However, I like to bring the other side of the coin to the medical process behind menopause and speak about the metaphysical explanation to menopause. Now, when we speak about the metaphysical, meaning that it's connecting to who you are spiritually. One of my favorite expressions are we are spiritual beings having multitudes of human experiences. And
Yes, yes.
with that being said, understanding that you are having a spiritual evolution when you cross that chapter of menopause, and this is actually something I'm actually thinking about writing a book on, so you'll hear
Oh,
it
yeah.
first,
We need to talk about this. Yeah.
is really about the gateway into your spiritual journey. Because every symptom that women have in regards to menopause, and I'll just name one or two of them that are very common, such as hot flashes. And every woman theoretically has a hot flash, and right away they think, oh, it's menopause. When we speak of spirit, when we speak of spirit communication, when you are connecting with spirit, your body temperature changes when that energy comes in. And that shows up as a hot flash, where you literally will start to get hot because spirit is connecting with you. So one of the things that I started doing when working with women is finding the common denominator in reference to when they were sitting in a space of connecting with spirit or working on spirit communication, how they did get that elevation in their temperature. And
Yes.
then explaining to them that no, it's not a hot flash based on menopause. It's a hot flash based on the connection with spirit. And when we can take that and look at that side of the coin, we then take away the resistance, the stress, and the overwhelmness that comes with knowing that, oh, this is because I'm connecting with spirit. So once we eliminate the resistance, we then eliminate the XX weight
Yeah.
that may show up, that again, for most women in quote unquote menopause, the extra weight shows up where they're thinking it's menopause. And that's just the resistance, in addition to the extra weight that may show up, because we are going through a spiritual journey. We may bring on weight based on the chapter we are in our lives. So if we are in a crisis chapter, with that crisis, we may need to slow down a little bit. We may need to be more grounded. And to do that, when you're slightly heavier in weight, you may not be able to move as quickly. And that's the process of helping us to slow down, to become more centered and grounded and connected, as opposed to, again, because we're constantly connecting with spirit, that we're not up in our 6th and 7th chakra. So it brings us down to earth, so to speak. Then in addition to the hot flashes, it's the bloat that we experience. Again, back to the spirit communication, the bloat is just that water retention that we're holding on to. Now, I'm also going to bring in some astrology insight.
I love that.
When we think about the moon, that beautiful moon that shines once a month for about 3 to 7 days, known also and connected to our moon cycle. As I hit my late 30s, I realized, oh, the moon cycle is associated with our menstrual cycle. Excuse me. And the moon transits from one zodiac sign to another zodiac sign every 2.5 days. So every 2.5 days, we may be moving out of a water sign into a fire sign, into an air sign, into an earth sign, or earth sign into an air sign. And that itself may very well create an emotional up and down. And if the moon happens to be in a water sign, that creates extra water in our body. Also noting that the moon rules a water sign, which is Cancer. So right off the back, again, based on your cycle, and again, for those women in midlife, you may be sitting back and saying, well, I don't have a cycle anymore. So how does this apply to me? Well, just because you don't have a cycle anymore, you're still energetically connected to the moon's energy, and it's definitely going to impact how your body responds to the energy of that moon, depending on your own moon cycle in itself, planetarily speaking. So when we think about menopause, and then we take the planets into account, we take spirit into account, and then we start to really break down the metaphysical meanings behind any one of the medical symptoms that may show up, we can get a better understanding to like, oh, so it may not be menopause in regards to a medical issue. It may just very well be that, oh, I'm exploring a spiritual journey. And how can I discover more about me through this very thing that up until now I resisted, because I've been programmed to believe that this is menopause and that once I hit this certain age, this is what's going to happen to my body. A big part of this is working through the subconscious beliefs and breaking them apart. Now, very short story about myself regarding the moon cycle. I didn't get my moon cycle until I was well into about 15 years old, which is pretty late for an average girl.
I think I was like 11 or 12. So yeah. So that is later. Yeah.
Exactly. And because I got my moon cycle when I was 15, in theory means I should have my moon cycle well into my late 50s because I got it late.
Okay.
Now, little behold, we all remember the pandemic back in 2020
Yes.
that took place in March. Now, my 50th birthday was on March 4th. Literally, what was it, 1 week before we went into shutdown.
Yeah. My mom's birthday is March 16th, which was the day we were in for shutdown. The day
Exactly.
here.
Exactly. So on March 4th of 2020 was
Okay.
literally the last week, because I had my cycle for 3 days and then it would be gone. It was the last time I had my cycle. My cycle has not returned. Now that I go through all these so-called symptoms that most of these women are talking about, no hot flashes, no bloat, no mood swings. And when we talk about mood swings, when we're connecting with spirit and we're connecting with each other because we are energetic beings,
Yeah.
I related everything and anything that might have been related to menopause to my spiritual journey. And I shared this today with passion
Yeah.
to help women understand that no, you don't need to experience menopause based on what the medical society has programmed us to believe.
Yeah,
You
because it
can
was
look at
studied, it was all based on male studies anyway. Like that's the
exactly,
big thing of it all.
exactly. Well, look at the name of it, men
And
or pause. Let's
I know.
pause on men.
Well,
Yeah.
it's so interesting what you're saying. I want to touch on this because I have never looked at it this way. So when in the early morning, when I'm doing my meditation and my yoga practice, and I do some walking meditation, I do different modalities. I had never really thought about the fact that even when I sit and journal, I will have a raised temperature. And I love what you're saying. I kind of use it as my space to connect with spirit, but I had never really thought about the temperature raise. And that is such a great reframe of like, this is actually the gift.
Yes.
Yeah. So I love that.
Yes. Yes. So as each woman goes down this path of what we've been programmed to believe is menopause, rather than think of it as a curse, like, oh my God,
Because
think of
we've
it
been
as
told it was
just
a
like,
curse our whole life. I mean, we were told, I was raised that way, like kind of believing that your monthly menstrual cycle was a curse. And,
yes,
and it's just like, it's a subconscious because logically and rationally, I don't believe that.
yes,
But
yes,
if I don't bring it into awareness, that story is definitely running like a subliminal programming to where,
yes,
because I was told at some point as a child, it was a curse.
yes. And that's a beautiful gateway into the next statement to this is that, again, as children, because again, when girls do get their cycle for the first time. We're young, and the different stories we hear from our parents and our mothers heard from their mothers and et cetera, the generational so-called curse is that subconscious belief that this is what it's going to be. So then we hold on to this, oh my God, it's here. And we just bring in such a denser energy. So of course, there's going to be, the words I'm hearing is side effects and symptoms connected to our cycle. And then because it's connected to the cycle, it's going to very well be connected to the next chapter of your life, which is known as perimenopause or menopause. Because we've never healed the subconscious beliefs, stories that we heard from our mothers, they heard from their mothers, et cetera, et cetera. So it's now our time now. We have the power. I share the wisdom for every woman from this moment on to share out to their daughters and their daughters and their daughters that no, your moon cycle is not a curse. Your moon cycle is just what it is to be. If you wanna celebrate it, celebrate it. If you want to just recognize that it's there, it's there. However, believe me when I say, I'm sure Tracey will agree, there are times when you are very excited to see that cycle show up.
Oh yes, there's
very excited. We're like, oh, it's here. And then once it's there, you're like, can I go now?
Yeah.
So bringing it back to the whole concept of serving women and helping women to really unravel the different stories that we've been told and we've been programmed to be and conditioned to believe in regards to how we can transform. And because menopause right now is such a big topic, it's like, I don't think I've ever heard menopause spoken about as much as it's been spoken about in the last maybe 2 or 3 years. It's like, is this like the big topic? Like, or is it just because I'm in that age category? Like, what, what?
I mean, I have a few beliefs on this. Like my story is a little bit that, so we're all headed towards this bigger divine spiritual awakening. So it's on the world's radar, but it's also right because I mean, I'm technically, quote unquote, according to the doctors, I would be what's called the perimenopause. Yes. But I had a lot of crazy symptoms that were the opposite of what's supposed to happen. Like I'm going to share. So I always overshare a lot, but I was literally having my menstrual cycle for 28 days a month for 5 years. They're like, how are you not dead? Like it, okay. Because so the thing is that had to be healed through deep work in a lot of different energetic healing modalities. Like I became a certified shamanic practitioner. There's just so many different things because medical science had no answers for me.
Exactly.
And, it is, so you have to work with it, right? So it's not about saying it's bad, right? So I love this layers because this is in the forefront because this is what we're dealing with, right? Yes. Like we're coming back to listening to our true spirit, our true sense of self. And that's been missing.
Exactly. And what I love about what you just said regarding your cycle, a couple of things. The number 28, that you had your cycle for 28 straight days. Now, bringing numerology into the conversation, and then we're going to also blend it back to astrology. The number 28, I'm going to break it down. The number 2 is about the relationship you have with yourself and your body and how you value your relationship with your body and self. And again, let's face facts. When a young girl gets her cycle, she's not really that fond about her body at that point in time. There's a lot going on, mentally speaking, and that may very well carry on into teenage and adult years, etc. The number 8 is about the experience, the abundance, and bringing things back to balance is the number 8. Now, in astrology, the number 8 is Scorpio energy, which is about the dark side of things. And that's really the energy of what women refer to as with their cycles and menopause. It's the dark side. And yes, it's the dark shadow work that we need to go through to get us to where we're going. Now, Tracey, you said perfectly with that 28 that you've gone to so many different doctors and they could not come up with any explanation to why you were experiencing your cycle for 28 days. So what did you do? You went into where the number 28 gets added into 10, 10, a new way of healing, working to understand you. So you were attracted to different types of healing modalities to get you to discover who you are. And this is the gateway. So when women out there are going to their doctors and their doctors cannot give them the answer, because and I just said this morning to a client, we put doctors on a high pedestal, expecting them to have the answers. And the reality of it all is they don't.
They're people, just like us. They're people.
Exactly. We have the answer within us because Tracey knew that she was called to take on these additional modalities so she can learn about herself. So when we talk about that one being a new way of doing things, so perfectly aligned to today's energy with the one first house is all about self. Who am I? First house is also associated with Aries energy, and the full moon today.
I know it's a perfect
Full
day for us
moon
to
is
be
in
having it.
Aries.
Yeah.
Aries is also, the full moon's also connected with Chiron right now, because Chiron, the wounded healer, is in Aries, and the wounded healer is exactly that. All of us, every one of us, men and women, are working through our wounds. And working through those wounds may mean that, yes, there's going to be some sort of, I like to call it ascension symptoms. Many people call it medical symptoms that show up in our physical body for us to become curious and wonder, is there another way to approach this besides the medical way? And yes, the answer is the metaphysical way, which is your spiritual journey that you are on to discover who you are. Now, the 0 in that 10 is letting you know you have choices and so many different ways of going about how you're going to discover who you are. Now, let's bring that 1 and 10 to 1 and 0 together, which brings it to 10. Now, in numerology, number 10 doesn't exist because numbers go from 1 to 9, 11, 22, and 33. However, in astrology, number 10 is very much associated with what's called Capricorn's energy. Capricorn, right now, we have Pluto transiting Capricorn. Now let's think back to 2008, because the last time Pluto transit Capricorn was back in 2008, right through 2023. So we have that 16 or 18-year period where Capricorn's energy was so strong. Capricorn is the very work we are here to do, whether it's your 3D work, your 9-to-5 job, or what I like to refer to as your soul's work. Now, your soul's work is a big, big package. And your soul's work is the very symptoms that show up in our physical body, giving us the different pathways, the journey that we go on so we can self-discover. Now, with Pluto transiting Capricorn right now for the very last time, as of November 19th, Pluto will transit out of Capricorn and move into Aquarius. This is our very last time we will ever experience a Pluto-Capricorn transit. Pluto is about the transformation. Pluto is also about coming in and destroying what no longer serves our purpose. So as we said earlier, as I said earlier, this big topic about menopause, and because so many women can relate, yes, this is definitely the gateway to destroying the belief systems that we have wrapped around menopause, and understanding that, yes, we are all transforming, we are all evolving, and we are all here to do our soul's work based on that Capricorn's energy. So when we think about Capricorn and Pluto and the 10th house and everything else that's mixed into this bundle of joy of energy, and we bring it into this menopausal conversation, it's no longer about the dreaded menopause. It's more now about, wow, this is so damn exciting because I'm on a spiritual journey to discover who I am. Because as I always like to say, as women in midlife transform boldly, they are strong enough, determined enough, powerful enough to want to be seen and heard. And that's when they transition out of their 3D 9-to-5 jobs and they become strong enough and powerful enough to want to step into their soul's purpose, to what they came here to do. And they have that menopausal childhood story, moon cycle story to very well talk about as their story to encourage other women. And then, of course, that connection. We all like to know that there's somebody else going through the same misery we've gone through, so.
Yeah, that we're not alone, right?
Yes,
Yeah, because
exactly.
that's why when you were talking about the elevated, the other piece of what you said earlier about the elevation of your body temperature, that like when you're having a deep, meaningful conversation in a group of friends, like you get flushed, even if you're not one of the people drinking wine, because this energetic connection. So we love it.
Exactly.
Like, it's like we kind of like really need this. It's like, nourishment doesn't come just from food. It just doesn't.
Well, that's a big point too. I was actually saying that in a podcast yesterday, where we do need to pay attention to how we are fueling and feeding our bodies. It's not just about the food we eat, it's the information that we are taking in, the conversations that we are listening to, the conversations we're partaking in, because that's really fueling and feeding the energy that we are in. And we are all energetic beings, we're all connected. And this is really literally the time of our lives as Pluto transits out of Capricorn for the very last time.
Yeah, tell us more about that. That, like, when you said 16 years that we were going through that, I'm like thinking of like the crazy work I did during that time. And then that you said it left and now it's back for the final. And I was like, wait, we need to dig into that. We need to know more, because I don't like, whether people tuning in are astrology believers currently or not, run your astro chart, because this is important. So Joanne, can you dig into that a little bit?
Yes, I sure can. And yes, just like Tracey says, it is important whether you believe in astrology or not. I myself believe that it's not about a belief. Your astrology is your GPS. It's like numerology. The two of them are brothers and sisters, and it doesn't matter which is which. I have heard somebody say, well, which is one? Doesn't matter. Let's not think too much about that. It's your makeup. It's literally going to define your makeup. It's going to help you navigate through whatever it is you're going through. And just like Tracey said, when I was talking about the dates, think back to 2008 through 2023. Think back to that time frame and literally write down on a piece of paper what was going on in your life, the good things and then the challenging things. Because again, as we're in this energy, and literally we only have literally like 30 days of this Pluto Capricorn energy left, where you get to reflect on everything that has happened in your life in that period of time. What has transformed for you? What are you still working on? And what is going to be left behind? Because that's that Pluto Capricorn energy. When Pluto is in any zodiac sign, Pluto is there to transform it. And whatever doesn't serve the energy at that point in time is going to be destroyed. And we all have Pluto on our natal chart. Now, wherever Pluto is on your natal chart, whatever house Pluto is in and whatever sign Pluto is in, that's going to give you the direction that this energy is taking you. So, for example, I happen to have Pluto in my third house. And third house is experience. Third house is learning. Third house is education. Third house is speaking. Third house is travel. It's in Virgo. Now, Virgo is about organizing. Virgo is the schedule. Virgo is also the physical body. So now if you think about my Pluto in Virgo, and you think about what it is I do as my soul's purpose, I'm so perfectly aligned. Now, always gets me going is the third house, the experience. It's like, oh, so what is Pluto working on transitioning for me, taking away from me? Now, if you and I would have been having this conversation back in 2008, or even before 2008, the words that are coming out of my mouth today would not be the same words coming out of my mouth then. Because again, the transition of what I believed in back then and all that I have come to learn, spiritually speaking, on my spiritual journey has transformed the way I do serve and support women due to that transformation. In fact, now this is a podcast, so unfortunately the viewers cannot see the background that's on my screen right now.
But
the
people
background
watching
that's
on YouTube will be able to see that. So,
Oh,
because
perfect. Yes, perfect.
the video will be released too.
So
Which
the
is
background on my screen is my deck of cards,
oh, fun.
which I created back in 2019. Now, you would have asked me back in 2006 or 2005 or 2004, would I create a deck of cards? It was nowhere on my radar, at least in my conscious mind. It was definitely on my radar in the higher realms of things. So when we think about this Pluto Capricorn energy, it's really important to reflect back to that period of time, 2008, right through 2023.
Yeah.
And when you think about interesting information, 2008, add that number up, it adds to 10.
10. Yeah, it does.
10. Now, when we think about 2023, because of course I didn't add it up, let's see, what do we have? 5 plus 2, that's a 7. So it's our 10 energy where we start out and moves us through the time to our 7 energy year. The 7 is a spiritual journey. Discovery, self-discovery. You're discovering you.
Yeah,
And
last year was the 7, right? Yeah, and last year was the 7, like numerology. Yeah. And
yes,
it was my personal 7 too. So it was like a lot of work year. Like now that
yes,
you're saying
yes.
that, I'm like, yeah. Like that's like
Exactly, exactly. And what I always say regarding numerology is there's 3 personal energy year numbers that I always believe to be the most challenging years. And those 3 are the 5, the 7, and the 9. And I'm going to add one more to this. And the actual current year. So if someone holds the same personal energy year as the collective energy, so if someone has an 8 energy year as their personal energy, holds the same energy as the collective, they are going to have a more challenging year than most. Now, let me just briefly explain the 5, 7, and 9, especially because Tracey here had yours is a 7 this year.
no, last year, 2023.
Okay.
Collectively, it was a 7, right? And
Yes, yes. So you actually carry the same energy of the collective.
yeah, well, it shifted this year, which is interesting.
Well, yeah, because now this year's an 8.
Yeah.
So it will shift. So let
Yeah.
me explain just a little bit, not to go too much in detail. But when we talk about the 5 energy year, the 5 is about change. It's freedom, it's unpredictability, it's being courageous enough to be willing to make changes so you can transform and move into the freedom. It's also about play and self-expression and just stepping into your sensuality. That's that 5 energy. The 7 energy is self-discovery. 7 is meditation. 7 is going within to look for the answers and not going out. 7 is the time where you take on the courses. You look for those teachers and mentors that's going to take you in and support you on whatever challenges and crises that you're going through. The current year that we're in now, which is the 8 energy, and again, anyone who's carrying an 8 vibration, this is about the karmic reset. This is about balance. This is about harmony. This is about your achievements, your success, your fame, your purpose. Now, when we talk about the 9 energy year, which is where we're going to next year, is where we review the last 9 years of our life. It's a review of the last 9 years of our life before we begin the next new chapter, which is 1. So those 3 energies, I always find when I sit with clients that when they are in those specific energy years, that they have the most challenges to go through and also the most rewards they reap because they have the most challenges. It's a self-discovery period.
Yeah,
Time.
I have found through the different years, like not even always knowing, like I know these things now, but in retrospect and looking back, that when I honored it and really allowed myself to go through the transformation, I was able to transmute a lot of wounds and even, collectively. But the years when I thought, almost like it was like an unconscious thought that like I was in control when I was not, right? That is like when it just like, oh, it just got harder and harder. So it was like carrying barrels of bricks up a mountain alone and then just falling back all the time. So
Exactly.
that's the visual that I could say has been my experience. So I always teach my clients that embrace what is that big scary thing that you're afraid of. And if we can embrace it with a little humor in a conversation, it's so much less resistance, right? And then, it just kind of helps diffuse it a little bit, giving you the power to really allow the transformation.
Exactly. And it's like you said before, when you're actually in, I like to use these two words, the crisis and the challenges, you're not going to be able to understand the lesson behind it, which is why we have opportunity to review. That when you get through that year, the following year is when you have an opportunity to sit back and say, oh, or maybe a few years down the road, like we're moving into this 9 energy year, we're going to have plenty of time to reflect on the last 9 years of our lives and see, oh, wow. Now, the version of who we are right now, we are definitely not the same version of who we were then. We're very different, even if we are not consciously aware that we are doing the spiritual work. We are even the unconscious process of it all. We are all shifting. Some of us who are doing the work are consciously shifting. Some of
Right.
us who are not quite aware that they're doing the work, the universe is shifting them. Either
Right.
way.
Change is happening whether you accept it and embrace it or not.
And
So it's
that
your choice.
exactly. And that is the very help that Pluto in Capricorn is supporting us with. And when we talk about Pluto in Capricorn, I also want to bring in Uranus in Taurus. Now, Uranus is the planet of mishaps. It's the planet of chaos. It's the planet of the dark side. That's Uranus. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius energy. So we think of it, Uranus being in Taurus, which is the opposition or the sister of Scorpio, which is ruled by Pluto. It is really about the chaos that we experience through the relationships that we have with one another, because every person is just a reflection. And I know there's many people out there that get a little flustered by the fact oh, that person's not a reflection of me. Excuse me, as they say. Yes, they are. They are. Every person is a reflection of you. And whatever they're reflecting back at you is either going to be something you're going to be proud of or something you need to work on. And that's just what it is. And then when we think of that Taurus energy of the relationship with someone else, it's also the relationship we have with ourselves, our physical body, and also the relationship we have with money. And now money is a big thing because, I mean, as humans, we make money such a big thing because it's like, oh my God, but it's just energy. And when we can work through the wounds, because again, money is another wound that we have from childhood, or what we learned, what we heard. If we can break through those subconscious wounds, we become unstoppable. I mean, literally, there's nothing that we can't have. We can have everything we want to have as long as we believe we can have it. And that's really what it comes down to. It's the belief system of feeling worthy enough of knowing that, you know what, I can have anything I want to have. Now, the question is, do I really want to have that? That is the big question.
Yes, yes. You are worthy of it all.
Exactly. There's absolutely nothing that you cannot have. Absolutely nothing. And I think the beauty of it is once you do move through your spiritual evolution, you start really asking yourself, do I really need that? Do I really want that? Do I really want to have that? And you really start, because again, once you get into that space where like, you can have everything, you start realizing like, you know what? I don't need to have everything. I have everything I already need. And then you start simming down on all the desires, and you really start now attracting what you really purposely are here to attract. And that's when things become easier because you no longer have to put the work behind it. And coming back to menopause, which is such a funny thought in my head. When we use the word menopause, the energy of men is that masculine energy. And what we're actually really doing when we think about this, ladies, is think about it as we're pausing the masculine energy within us So we can get to that space where we can open our hearts to receive more and be able to support the men out there so they can be more in their masculine to give us, and then they open up their energy so they can receive our support as the leaders we are. And that's what menopause really is pausing our masculine energy so we can open our hearts so we can receive.
I love that. And that has been so true in my journey. And my husband would absolutely agree. Like, because I would say that, in my 30s of starting businesses, and actually as early as my late 20s, I was operating from a very masculine, gotta do more, da, da, da. Thinking I could outwork everyone.
Exactly.
And that was it was like, I look now, I didn't know it then, of course, right? You said it was the crisis and challenges. I'm like, yeah, it was kind of like F-bombs flying out of your mouth for me. Like, that's what it was like. And it was like toxic masculine. And it's true. The more I slow down, embrace the changes, and tap into sort of the defined feminine, I am able to receive love in a way from my husband that I never was able to before. And our relationship has really deepened in the past 5 years, I would say, in just such a beautiful way that it's really understanding the idea of the giving and the receiving, where I'm like, we got blessed to still get together somehow, even though kind of aligned, you know what I mean? So it's a really, really beautiful way to say that. And I feel, Joanne, we could talk about this all day. I feel like we need to do like just a day workshop about this for our audience.
Oh, I'm in.
Yeah,
I'm in.
I'm just,
Let's dive in.
putting that out there.
Let's
But
dive in.
but what are like one or two things that people can do right now to really, like they're just getting started with kind of tapping into this? What's one or two things they can do to really tap into this energy right now?
Well, first thing is connect with your body. And when I mean connect with your body, I'm not saying go take a walk. Walks are great. However, I want you to really embody your physical body. As mentioned before, one of the conscious beliefs that many of us have is this thing about investing, spending money. We spend money on so many different things in our days. Groceries, cup of coffees. I mean, we spend like $10 on a friggin' cup of coffee. So rather than investing your money on a cup of coffee, invest your money on hiring me as a holistic personal trainer so you can learn to embody your physical body, because the connection you have with your physical body and the transformation that you're going to experience, it's not just about the physical transformation where you start to see, let's say, your waistline shrink. It really is about taking the current weight that you have right now and reshaping the weight, transforming the weight so your body can look different. And once you make that connection with your physical body, embodying your mind, your emotions, your spirit, you become unstoppable, because then you start to explore who you really are. And that is something you literally can do right now, today. At some point towards the end of this, there's going to be a complimentary offer I have for everybody that can definitely take advantage of connecting with me so I can help you move into that journey. Because again, for midlife women, muscle is medicine. And there is really absolutely no reason why you should not be connecting with your physical body to help your physical body become stronger. It really will help you move into that self-discovery of who you really are. And as we say in Reiki, just for today, permit yourself to love the body you are in right now. Doesn't have to be perfect. Let go of conditions and love yourself unconditionally.
Oh, I love that. I love that. And I am so excited for people to get the opportunity to take advantage of working with you. I can drop the link to it in the show notes. Joanne, do you have any last words of wisdom or anything else that you'd like to add? This has been amazing. I'm just excited. I can't wait to go dig out my astrology chart. I need to look to see what house my Pluto's in. I was like so excited.
Yes.
And I know that so many people are going to be excited to have the opportunity to work with you. So thank you so much for being here and sharing your beautiful energy with us.
Yes. So the words of wisdom, I'm going to pull out my deck.
I cannot wait.
Shuffle
Looks
and
amazing.
see
Yeah.
what do we need to know for today as we are in this amazing full moon Aries energy, along with all the other energies surrounding it. What do we need to know for today? Such a perfect word to end this day with. Patience. Oops.
Oh, I love that. Patience, especially
Because
for
it-
self.
Exactly, because that's exactly what we need to bring in, patience with self. Because again, as you move through this transformation, your spiritual journey, your chapter that you may be in perimenopause or menopause, or maybe the young girls are listening to this, maybe you're just starting your cycle. Be patient, because everything that you're experiencing right now is exactly what you need to experience to get yourself where you're going. There's no need to try to rush. Don't try to get to the end of the book without reading everything. All the chapters are needed. The number here is 4, so perfectly aligned with the moon's energy, because the 4 is about the 4th house in astrology, which is associated with Cancer. And Cancer, like mentioned, is your home, meaning your family, your career, and your body. Now, once you actually get your body in order and you start to really fall in love with your body, the relationships you have with family, and that can be blood related or those you inherited over the years, become stronger and healthier because you fall in love with you. And then you begin to become this different version of you, and you just love everyone, and you're not concerned about what anyone else is thinking. You just love them for them. And that will then transition over to your career. The more you love yourself, the happier you are in your relationships, your career, your soul's career will open up. And that 4 is representative of balance, bringing more balance into your life because you are now balanced. Now the color is green, very much associated with your heart center. So for those of us who are watching, whether you're watching on YouTube, listening, whatever, now place your hand right on your heart center and place your other hand down by your belly. This is known as the universal hug. At any given time, and usually what I ask people to do is to rub their hands together and then gently separate their hands to feel the energy bouncing back and forth. But I feel that the energy that we're holding right now is so powerful that we don't need to do all of that. We can literally just feel the sensation that's literally going through. And Reiki energy is all about helping to get the energy to start to move. So wherever you have stagnations or blocks going on in your external world, know that's what's going on in your physical body. So work each and every single day on clearing the energy. Focus on one area of your life that may be a little chaotic right now. And rather than seeing it as chaotic, start seeing it as wondering on what you're going to learn about yourself today. Apply patience into that recipe and know that everything is happening exactly the way it needs to happen. And embrace the day just for today.
Oh, that's so beautiful. Joanne, thank you so much. We are
Thank you.
so excited. Thank you so much for tuning in, and make sure you check out all the amazing things that Joanne has to offer. And as always, stay beyond amazing, and we will see you on the next one.
Bye-bye, everyone.